My name is Stuart. Today we are going to be looking at Twitter. This will be a little bit different than a typical stock analysis video that you might have seen in the past. The reason being is that we're going to be using the social sentiment dashboard, which brings in real-time data from Twitter to look at any stock. And obviously we're going to be using it to look at Twitter. So before jumping into it, if you can like, comment, subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. If there's anything you want to see, something I don't cover in this video, have any questions, drop a comment below. Happy to answer them. It helps me make better videos for you guys, so really appreciate it. Awesome, let's get into it. So what we're looking at right now is the Utradea social sentiment dashboard. As I was saying, real-time Twitter analytics and insights for stocks. In this case, we are looking at Twitter. So what I've done is just selected the 72-hour chart. So we're looking over the last 72 hours. Right now I'm showing the number of posts as well as the number of impressions in this time period. And as we can see, looking at the screen itself, Twitter is the third most mentioned ticker on Twitter in the last 72 hours with over 38 million impressions. So that means over 38 million people saw a tweet that had the hashtag TWTR Twitter, and that's quite significant. What's interesting is, obviously the number of impressions, typically it's the main tickers, so Amazon, Tesla, SPY, QQQ, those get a ton of tweets, impressions, things like that. The change in impressions is quite an interesting thing to look at. So we can see that the change in impressions, it's gone down significantly, even though it's, again, the top three. This means that in the previous 72 hours, Twitter was talked about a lot more. So actually, let's look at the 1 week view of Twitter. And as I was saying, so look at this. In the last week, Twitter was the #1 most mentioned hashtag on Twitter with almost 500 million impressions. That's huge. An increase from the previous 1 week. This is obviously before Elon announced that he has a significant position in Twitter, but almost a 1,300% increase in impressions. And the reason this is useful is being able to see a jump in impressions over a specific period of time tells you that something is happening from an investment perspective. Because as you guys are aware, Twitter, huge platform, big, powerful FinTwit community. So being able to keep track of these trends in real time is super useful. And if we go back in time, so this is April 3rd, 4th. April 3rd, I believe, was the Sunday. April 4th, the Monday. So number of impressions and posts, barely anyone's mentioning Twitter, and then boom, we find out that Elon's taken a significant stake in Twitter. What we can do is actually jump into the feed itself. So what we have here is the influencer feed. So these are the top accounts that are tweeting about it. Then we have the filtered feed. This removes any bots that might be tweeting things, so it gives you a better view of what people are talking about. And then this is the real-time feed. So as I said, it's very interesting to see, not a lot of things happening, then boom, the main spike and kind of the hype around it for the next 2-3 days. Since then, it's kind of died down a little bit. What we can look at is, let's take a look at the price over this period of time. So if we jump into the 72 hours, so right now it's the weekend. So obviously markets are closed, so closed on April 8th at 4 p.m. We're seeing kind of a fairly level trend of impressions. Let's go back to the weekly. So here we go. From a price perspective, and as I mentioned, I'll just flip this back to bar because I think it's a little bit more significant. Prices in green, impressions in purple, nothing happening, and then boom, we see massive jump in impressions here, kind of that Monday morning when news is announced. The stock price, let's go back to the 2 weeks. Should have it. So if you think about, market close, Twitter's at about $40 a share. The following Monday, it opens at close to $50 a share. Again, because of the news. So back to the 1 week. As I said, opens at just shy of $50 a share, runs up. And again, that makes sense. A ton of people get the news. They're still going to react to it. And there's still quite a bit of momentum of people buying into Twitter over this period. Cools off a little bit, runs, and then for kind of the following 2 or 3 days to close out the week, pretty significant drop. So you'd argue that if you traded it, and again, your approach is going to be different whether you're day trading, swing trading, or long-term investing. But you can see from a trading perspective, ton of action, ton of hype for Twitter at this period in time. See a bit more of a run-up, so you could probably place a trade there. And then as the hype kind of dies down, people kind of lose interest a little bit more. Have maybe made some money off of this, especially if they were earlier holders of Twitter before the news, and then a sell-off over this period. What will be interesting, and this is how I like to use the tool, is kind of seeing what's coming. And right now it's Sunday afternoon, but seeing what people are talking about most recently about Twitter gives me a sense of what's coming up for this upcoming trading week. So check it out on Sunday and Monday morning before market open. It's a super useful tool from that perspective. So not only can you see the impressions, but get a general sense of the sentiment. Obviously, positive sentiment, people think or are sharing information that's positive about Twitter. Negative sentiment, people are saying things that are negative about it. So I like to take a look, see what some of the main accounts are tweeting. So we have a number of people saying, this guy over 500,000 followers saying might need to buy some Twitter calls on Monday. Might look into some Twitter calls. Maybe not a bad idea. I think more people are signing up. What's this Twitter? So it sounds like just a few tweets, and again, these are tweets. Like this tweet's going to be seen by 500,000 people. Seems like they're starting to get a bit hyped up again about Twitter sentiment trending positively the last little while, and we're seeing a bit of an uptick impressions as well. So yeah, that's the view I wanted to look at. I know, obviously, as you've seen with Elon in the past, with Tesla, with Doge, and now with Twitter, being able to track these social trends on Twitter, super useful, extremely powerful. Being able to do it in real time, extremely helpful. So I'll leave a link below to this dashboard. Easy to use, free to access. Check it out. If you can, please like, subscribe, leave a comment below. Happy to dive into something that I might have missed, something that you wanted to see, but let me know. Happy trading.